Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elizabeth. It's good to have you. Please consider subscribing and turning on your post notification bell if you are a crafter or just like crafting videos. My goal is to grow to 1,000 subscribers, so please help me to achieve my goal so I can continue to bring you more crafting videos. It's almost Valentine's Day. This is part 1 of me showing you how to create a Valentine quilted ornament. In this video, I'll be showing you a feminine design with a beautiful floral and starburst formation. In my next video, I'll be showing you more of a masculine design. These are so much fun to make and a great gift to give to the one you love. So, if you would like to see how I do that, stay tuned. Okay, so today I'm going to be doing part 1. I think I'm going to split this video into 2 just so that it's not super long. So I'm going to be doing part 1 of the Valentine hanging ornament, and this one is going to be for a female, a girl, so for wives, girlfriends, fiancés. So this is going to be the female version. So the first thing you're going to need is some polystyrene or styrofoam heart. I purchased this from Amazon. This is a 12 centimeter one. I'm going to link this in the description box. So you need your styrofoam heart. You're also going to need some fabric. So I really wanted to use this floral fabric. I think it's really pretty. It's got some really delicate prints of flowers on there. And I just pulled the colors from 2 of the flowers on there. So we've got this deep pink and like a lighter pink as well, that I thought would work really well with the female Valentine hanging ornament. So I also pulled these 2 pinks, which I think would work very well with this floral fabric. So you need some fabric. I've also got this cord here for hanging. I'm going to try and link this, but I've had this for years. I used to use it to make jewelry, macrame jewelry. So I'm going to try and link where I got it. I'm not sure if the company still exists where I got it, but I'll try and link something similar. Or you can also use ribbon actually to hang your ornament. For the design that I'm going to be making, I really wanted to incorporate this little cute, just so adorable, this gnome, Valentine gnome, into my design. And the image I got from Creative Fabrica, and I just sublimated it on some polyester fabric here, and I think that's quite a nice touch. I'm going to mention that I've decided to do 2 different formations on my heart. So I'm going to have 2 different formations on each side of the heart. That's not necessary, you can do the same formation, but I just wanted it to be different. So on one side I'm going to have my sublimation, and on the other side I'm going to have something, a different kind of pattern. You're going to need pins as well, and these are just seamstress pins. Okay, just one of these. Well, not one, you're going to need lots of them. Okay, you're also going to need a tape measure, and I'm going to be using 2 tape measures. Why you may ask. I like to use this tape measure for drawing my lines, and I pin this as an old one, so I don't mind. I do not want to stick any pins in my pretty pink one, so I'm going to be using this for measuring. Okay, not necessary to have 2, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, I also have, for this particular project, I have a compass as well, and I'm going to show you what I use that compass for. You need a pencil or a pen, but I'm going to be using a pencil to mark my lines, just so that it's light enough that I would not be able to see it through this fabric, because this fabric is quite thin. So something really light, or you can use it as to score your lines as well. So I'm going to be doing both. I'm going to be drawing lines and scoring. You also need a rotary blade to cut your fabric, and a ruler for cutting. And I have some tweezers here. This is quite nice to be able to pick up pins sometimes. And I also use the top of it to press my pins down, because after a while you will start to feel a little bit tender on your finger. Pressing so many pins, you might start getting some pain in your fingers. So I use this side. You could use a thimble if you have one, and you need a pair of scissors. And I also have a cup of tea. This is chai latte. This is optional, but I need it at this time of the morning. I am crafting really early in the morning so that my neighbours do not disturb me with very loud music. So fingers crossed I can make it through this whole video without any interruptions. So I'm going to now prepare my styrofoam and show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to be doing two different formations, two different designs on each side of this polystyrene heart. So I've decided that for this side of my polystyrene, I want the focus of the design to be just off center. So I've put a little mark here, just there. You can see a little dot of where I want the focus of my design to be. On this side, I'm going to be having my focus right in the middle. Okay, so in order to do that, because you need to draw some lines, they need to be all even, all going to this center point that I have here. I need to mark, and I've also done this on a previous video where I did some hanging Christmas ornaments, but that was on a sphere. It's the same sort of concept. So I need to measure around my styrofoam heart here. So you just need a strip of long piece of paper like this, a thin one, and you just go around the outside. I'm just going to do this quickly. If you want it in more detail, do check out that video of me making the Christmas ornament. I'll link it at the top. So you want to pin this all the way around, and this is to get a measurement of the outside of your heart. Okay, so once you've done that, you'll cut it and make sure that the two ends meet up there. And then you'll have, this has already been cut actually, so just to save time, but do go ahead and watch that video. So now what you do is you then fold your strip of paper in half, okay, half again, so now you've got quarters, and then half again, so you'll have eighths. Okay, so your strip of paper will now be in eighths, and you can see here that hopefully you can see that, maybe very lightly, where I've marked where the folds are. Okay, once you've marked them, you'll put your strip of paper around your heart again, and because I've decided to put my mark here, I need to try and get a line that goes straight across. So when I put my template of my measurements around again, I'm able to then mark my second eighth here, and then my 4/8 is actually on this side, and I've marked, oops, I hope I was in shot there. So my 2/8 is here and my 4/8 is here. So now I can do a nice straight line going across. So I'm going to do that now. So I've just put a little mark there, and you also have a line going in the middle of the two sides of your heart, because the hearts are made by putting two sides together, basically. So you'll have a little impression line. I'm not sure if it's being if it's picking up on camera right there. I think you can see it. So you have this line going down the middle. Those are the two different sides. So I'm just doing these lines on this side. So it's scored it. So you can see where my dot is there. It's just off, so I'm going to make this my my center now. Okay, so your focus needs to be on that line. Okay, so I've just done a little hole there. Right, the next thing you're going to do now, because this design works in 8s, I'm doing a kind of like a starburst in the where my focus is. So I've cut and that's where this comes in. So you're going to draw a circle. This circle measures, let me just grab my ruler. This circle, not that it really matters, but this circle measures 7.5 centimeters, that's 75 millimeters. And I just wanted it so that, you know, it was big enough to do some lines, okay? I don't think it matters too much, but I think if it's a lot smaller than this, you might find it a little bit harder to draw your lines. Okay, so once you've drawn your circle, you are going to fold it in half, fold it in quarter, okay, and you're going to fold it again. This again is in 8s, so you'll have 8 sections on your circle. Then you are able to stick a pin in the center of it, and then stick that pin in the focus of where you want your design to be. So I'm going to stick it right there, and then I'm going to match up my line here that I've already scored on. I'm going to match it with the horizontal line on my circular template, just like that. Once I've done that, I can then just mark off each one of those segments. So you can just about see the tiny little impressions I've made on there. Right, now that I've done that, I'm going to need my tape measure again. Okay, the prep of this project is the bit that takes the most time, I think. So I'm going to now draw my lines going across, making sure it goes through my center impression that I have there. Okay, so I have scored my lines, and hopefully you can see that. And I've also done the back, where I use the same template, the same circular the same circular template to score the lines in the center. This time, this design formation, I want the focus to be in the middle of the heart. So I just put the template in the center and then scored my lines. and both sides are in 8, so that's just a number to remember. 8 is the golden number. So the next part is I want to show you how to prepare your fabric. So I have some pieces of paper here to help. So you want your pieces of fabric to be, and I've got the measurements here, 77 millimeters by 50 millimeters. Okay, so that's 2 by 3 inches. Okay, so you want your fabric cut into these rectangles, and then you want to fold. This is how I prepare my fabric. You want to fold just about a centimeter or so from the top. So you can see I've done a little line there. Okay, so you just want to fold about a centimeter from the top, and then you want to fold your fabric then in half, like that. Once you've done that, and what I do is I press my fabric. So I press my fabric with an iron here, and then I press it here. It just makes things easier for me. And then where you can see that dot is where you would put in your pin. Excuse me. Where you would put your pin, and you would put your pin just a little bit away from the edge of the fabric. So just a tiny bit, maybe about a millimeter or 2 from the top. That's where you would stick your pin in. So like that. That's for your pieces of fabric. Okay. For the ribbon, or the edge, I should say, that will go around your ornament, you want to cut, and I've done quite a bit of fabric here, so you want to cut 50 millimeter by 560 millimeters. That's 2 inches by 22 inches. It's way too long, but it doesn't matter. You can always just cut it off. And you want to fold these in thirds. So you want to fold it like that, and then like that. So you have a nice strip of material with no raw edges showing. And at the end, we're going to pin this around the styrofoam to hide any raw edges of the fabric, and it just makes it look neater. So I've, just for the sake of the video, I've gone ahead and prepared my fabric. Okay, so I have my different fabrics here with the pins already in them. And it's just, this is the bit that takes time. So the cutting of the fabric, the folding and the pinning. It's better to just have that done and out of the way. So then you can just relax in front of the watch some TV, watch your favorite series, and just pin away once you've prepped all your pieces. And I also have, let me just show you here, here is the strip that I'm going to use at the end to make it look all pretty. Okay, so I'm going to start on this side where my focus was going to be just off center, and I'm going to start with my dark pink, my darker pink, and I'm just going to stick that in the center of my I'm going to call it a starburst. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 4 pieces of fabric here mirroring each other. So that's what you want to do. So I'm starting at the bottom, my next one is going to be at the top, then I'm going to have the sides. That's just 4 pieces. The next section will use 8 pieces. So you want to push your pin in and then fold your rectangle into a triangle like that, using that center line that you've made. using your iron or finger pressing, I would go for the ironing option. It just gives a crisper line. Like that. So you're going to match it up, overlap it slightly, just so that you don't end up seeing the pin at the top. Just ever so slightly overlap it. You then need to match up that fold. You're always using your lines. Match up that fold to the actual line. You don't want it to the side like that. You want to match this to here, because that's the line that we're using. So once you've matched it up, you're going to pin it. And I overlap it slightly just so that I'm only using one pin for this part. Otherwise you end up using quite a few pins, which I've pinned it in the wrong bit because I had it upside down. Right, so we want to pin it that way. Okay, so we're going up and down and then side to side. So you're going to pin it, making sure it matches the line like that, and pin it down like that. Your next one is going to be at the top, and then you're going to do the side. Same concept, making sure you match up with the lines. So I've gone ahead and I've pinned my first pieces of fabric on. I forgot to mention that my initial pieces of fabric measure differently from these ones. So this is 10 centimeters by 5 centimeters. They're slightly bigger just because of the way the form of the styrofoam is. It kind of splays out more towards that way because I have my area of interest offset from the middle. So I've pinned it in, and now I've got these pins sticking out. I will remove them. I just didn't want to commit to pinning them down, just to reduce the amount of pins I have in my styrofoam. It just saves on pins. So the next lot of fabric that I'm going to be using is going to be my floral fabric. And again, I'm going to be doing the same thing where I'm mirroring the fabric that I'm using. So again, I'm going to do bottom to top and then side to side, and then I'm going to do the diagonals so they overlap nicely. So I need my tape measure, so I'm going to be measuring from the center. I'm going to be measuring, let's see, what would I like it to be? I'm going to be measuring I think I want it to be 1 centimeter from the middle. So that's where I'm going to stick in my pin. So I need to do it that way actually, because that's going to be the first one that I put in. So 1 centimeter from the middle, and it's going to be that same measurement for every single piece on this level. So we have different levels. Okay, so I'm going to name this the second level. So 1 centimeter from the middle, or 10 millimeters, and I stick my pin in just there. So hopefully you can see where it is 1 centimeter from the middle, and I just stick my pin in just after just a little bit after the 1 centimeter mark, because as you know, the pin is stuck in just a little bit away from the top of that fabric. So by the time it goes in, it will be exactly at 1 centimeter. Okay, so I'm sticking my pin in. I'm actually going to go ahead and just commit to these 2 pins being in, just so that it's not in my way. And the trick here is to just line up your middle lines to the scoring that you've done, and to smooth down your fabric really nicely. That will give you a nice flat design. So constantly smoothing your finger on the fabric and matching up those lines will give you a nice finish. So like that. I'm going to match up those lines. I just want to overlap it slightly, not too much. Like that. Make sure it's all going in the same direction as my line, and then I'm going to pin it. Okay, so you just need to make sure that the line runs parallel along the score line. So that's really important. As far as this part, you just need to make sure that the 2 sides are smoothed down. So finger press them down, really nice and flat, like so, because they need to be smooth. Sorry if you can hear some drilling. The neighbors are up and getting up to their usual, which is to make lots of noise. Okay, so you need to smooth it down and then pin that into place. And I'm going to continue to go around making sure that I smooth down both sides. This just saves on pins when you do it this way. When you overlap it this way, you just end up saving on your pins. So yeah, so you're going to go around and then smooth everything down and then pin. So I'm just going to continue with my diagonal. So now that I've done this one, I'm going to come to the opposite side and do that one, and then the sides. You always do the opposite side, so you're mirroring each piece that you put down all the time. So I have finished level 2. So you can see the starburst design there. So I'm going to continue now with level, excuse me, level 3. So again, this time, because I did the diagonals last, I'm going to be going back to the vertical, and so my vertical lines are here. So my verticals and my horizontal lines first. So you always do the opposite of what you've done. So you always lay down 4 and then another 4, okay, which makes 8, but you mirror them. So I'm going to go back to my vertical lines, which are these 2. So again, I'm going to measure, I think from this floral design, I'm going to measure 1 centimeter from the tip of my floral design, and I'm going to use this light pink fabric. Okay, another thing I want to mention is that you want to match your, well, you don't have to, this is what I'm doing, because your design could be one that looks like a patchwork where you're using lots of different fabrics and you're not particularly creating a formation like this. But for this design, the last pieces of fabric that are going to be on the outside of my my design are going to be this color, so I've matched it up with this so that when I do my finishing it all ties in nicely. You don't have to, it can be whatever, it really can be whatever you want it to be. And that's the nice thing about this project, is that you can just use any little bits of fabric that you have left over to create a really lovely piece of a lovely piece. So I'm going to be using my light pink for level 3, and I'm again measuring 1 centimeter from the tip of my floral piece. I'm going just underneath my 1 centimeter mark to account for that tiny little bit of fabric above my pin, so that when I do push it in, it will be at 1 centimeter. So like that. And again, I'm going to make sure that I am lining everything up. That's the important bit, that you are lining everything up nicely with those score lines that you created at the beginning of the project. Okay, so I have finished level 3. So pretty much it is more of the same, and what I'm going to be doing now is using my dark pink fabric now, and I'm going to measure 5 mil from the tip of my light pink, so exactly 5 mil, so half a centimeter. And it's pretty much the same pattern. And what this will do is it's going to give it a, you'll see the light pink, almost like a little border. So let me just show you very quickly before I pin it down properly and make it neat. So you'll have this kind of pattern. Okay, so I have completed level 4. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another level, but this time my design is just going to be going this way because we are close to the very edge of our heart here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure 1.5 centimeters from these pink points here. I'm going to measure it down, and then I'm going to stick a pin in, trying to find the middle of this kind of V here. So I'm measuring 1.5 centimeters down and then putting a pin in the center. So we can see that that is in the middle of that V there, and it's 1.5 from the tips of these light pinks. And I'm going to stick my light pink in. I'm going to create my triangle, and then I'm going to rotate it to my next point, which is here. So my next point, which is on my left side of my heart, is where I'm going to put the center of that triangle. So it looks like this. And then I'm going to pin it in place. Before I move on, I'm going to, because we're going to be doing a lot of overlapping now, I'm going to actually stick my dark pink one in. So again, I'm going to do from the tip of my light pink is going to be 5 mil to give that nice border. So 5 mil like that. Stick my pin in. Okay, so I have completed level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, so level 6. Level 6 was just placed on top of the light pink one, 5mm apart. The dark is always going to be placed on top of the light 5mm apart, just to give it a nice kind of border, and you can see it's coming along really nicely. I wanted the design to have a kind of curve, because our starburst is very linear, lots of straight lines, and I wanted the design to incorporate some sort of movement of curve in there. That is why I've kind of started this layer here. So layer 5 and 6 have started this kind of like movement. So I'm just going to continue with that movement, where I'm going to measure now. I'm going to measure 1.5 centimeters from my dark pink here down, and then I'm going to place a pin in. So 1.5. Right, so like that. And then I'm going to place this one. I'm just going to eyeball because it's just 5mm, so roughly about there on the same line. And I need to start being aware of where my the edge of my heart is, so because I'm going to be cutting all this fabric away. Okay, so I have completed the front section of my ornament. There's a lot of fraying going on here, so make sure you have a lint roller. So I'm just going to check around my edge here, and I'm going to snip away all this excess fabric that has gone over the center line. So that is the front of my ornament done. I'm going to now, I think I want to put a bead cap in the middle, and I've got one here. If I can pick it up, it's so tiny and fiddly. Okay, so I have a bead cap here, and I'm going to stick that in the middle. Now let's tackle the back. So the back is a bit more straightforward. Okay, so here is my sublimated image, and I don't know if I said in the beginning, this image is from Creative Fabrica. You can use my affiliate link, which is linked down in the description box. This is at no extra cost to you, but will help out my channel. So do go on to Creative Fabrica. It's a great site. It's just amazing, and I've got a video somewhere in the many videos I've made talking about the benefits of Creative Fabrica. So I've stuck a pin in the middle of my image, and I'm going to use that to place the center of my where I want my design is. I've gone ahead and I've gone and marked those score lines just with a pen as well, just outside where I think this image will be. So I'm going to stick that pin in, and this is just going to be temporary. It's just, oh, it's right through his little nose. Oh, anyway, it's only temporary. So I'm going to make sure that's nice and straight. Make sure my image is straight, like so. And then when I'm happy with that, I'm going to pin this down. So I'm going to pin down all 4 corners. I'm going to start with my light pink fabric first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from where I've got this center pin that's going through his little nose. I'm going to measure 1.7 centimeters from that line. So 1.7, and I'm going to stick a pin in. Okay, so I have completed the first layer on this side of my ornament. I'm just pushing these pins in so they're not visible. Okay, lovely. Right, so now I'm going to use my floral fabric, and I'm going to measure 1 centimeter from the points of this light pink fabric, and I'm going to pin that in place. Okay, so I'm going to continue with my floral fabric. So go into the top, then the sides, and then I'm going to do the diagonals. Okay, so I have finished layer 2 of this side of the ornament, and I can spot an error that I had made, and the error is my sublimated fabric I should have made a little bit bigger, because what I was planning to do was to continue my my dark pink just on top of this floral pattern. But if I do that, I don't know if you can see, just there is my, there, if you can see at the tip of the pin, that's where my sublimated fabric is showing. And if I had made it bigger, the measurement for my fabric was 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters, and maybe I should have made it 4.5 or perhaps even 5, just so that it covered a bit more of the face of the heart. But not to worry, that's the good thing about this, is you can just adjust the design as you go. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to pin in between these this part here. So I'm just going to eyeball it. So in the center, roughly the same height as these floral fabrics here. So I'm just going to pin that in place. This is just to hide that polyester, edge of that polyester fabric. So I did cut the polyester fabric too small, and that is why I'm having to change my design. So I'm going to continue to go in between. So I'm just going to pin that in place. And what I did for my layer 2 is I've been trimming as I go. It just makes it easier for cutting at the end. So if I cut each layer so that I don't go over, because when there's too much bulk, it's a lot harder to trim. So I'm just going to trim as I go. So I'm going to continue with this dark pink. So I went ahead and I added another layer just on this panel here and this panel here, just to cover up this part of the styrofoam, because I didn't quite get to the end. So now everything is covered, so now it's just for the finishing touches. So I'm going to start with my ribbon, or my band I should say, and I'm going to start in the middle of where my heart dips, so the top of my heart, not my actual heart but the styrofoam heart, and I just need to pin that in place. So initially I'm just going to stick one pin in for now, and I'm going to go around making sure I am pulling it taut. So now that we are back at the top, I am going to snip just a little bit over, so I'm just going to cut that much off. Then I'm going to push this first pin in place, and I'm going to just pin that into place. So I'm going to stick in 4 pins at 2 pins at this point. Like so. So I can take this temporary pin out, and that is the edge nicely covered. I have my cord here. This cord is 30 centimeters long, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it go in this way. So I'm going to place it in the top of the heart again, so that it can just hang like that. I'm actually going to prepare this first, actually. So I'm going to prepare about, let's say, about that much fabric. So it's just a good thing that your band is that long, because we still need to use it anyway. So I'm going to just fold these bits in, just so that my raw edge is underneath, like that. And actually, I think I'm going to put a bead cap as well. So I'm going to put a bead cap in, and then I'm going to go through the middle like that. Okay. And then I'm going to put this through my cord. And then I'm going to pin it in the middle. Try and get it in the as much as I can in the middle. ornament underneath the fabric and then pinning it down. Okay, and there we have it. So a cute, super adorable Valentine ornament for a female, or it could be a male. I mean, I don't want to be biased about the colour pink. To anybody you love, really. So this is part 1. I'm going to be doing part 2, which is going to be dedicated to a male. So I'm going to be using some very typical Valentine colours. So thank you for watching and see you in part 2.
So, if you found this video useful or interesting, please like and subscribe if you haven't yet done so, and turn on your post notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. Please feel free to interact with the comment section by leaving any comments or any questions in the comment section. You can also join our Facebook group, which is Craft Junkies Studio. And as always, guys, don't have a good day, have an amazing day. Till next time.